Oh, live. You're live.
It'll be live and shit. It'll be live. Kick it with a freestyle. We just live with it. They ain't even make sense, but I'm live and shit. So I'm still talking my shit, but it don't make sense. But check it. I'm just breaking it. Like I was in 2007 with a Chevy. And it's riding in the candy paint. I don't know what they saying, but this is what they ain't. They ain't shit. They ain't. Let me stop playing, man. All right, hey.
Before people actually come in here.
Hey,
matter of fact, while people coming in here, we gotta go ahead and get it shared on Facebook.
Get it shared on Facebook. You know.
Make sure it's showing up and shit. Yeah.
You know, we know today is July 6th. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody still being criminalized for popping fireworks. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to everybody that's not getting criminalized. Learn some shit this year. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Hey man, but the way that it is out here, like these niggas out here wilding, boy. Like it was like in the middle of the streets, them niggas had Disneyland level fireworks. And you gotta understand, like, when you got them type of fireworks, you gotta have like space and it gotta be like elevated. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of shit.
That's what these niggas over here had, bro. And I was showing you how it ain't no space over here in my apartments. Dominique, imagine having a whole fireworks show at these motherfucking apartments. With the space we got between these, with the trees we got around here, niggas is over here busting, tripping.
That's silly. That's silly. But yeah, I got it shared. As y'all come in the building, y'all make sure y'all say what's up. Please hit the like button. You feel me? Show the people that you like it. That's how we get on there. You know what I'm saying? We give it a little minute to fill on up. But we got some good conversation for y'all tonight. We talking Black Lives Matter. There's a lot of bullshit going on. And let's be real. The conversation we about to have right now is the black conversation. You know what I'm saying? This is the family conversation. We about to talk about us. You know what I mean? We know what white people do. We know what the police do. We know about all that. Right now, we about to talk about us.
Definitely.
Because we got some issues. Because we got issues.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
People in the back. What this means is this will be a conversation that is not centered around whiteness, white people, or white supremacy. It'll be a conversation centered around the livelihood and general welfare of blackness and black people and black culture. You know what I'm saying? I think that we've been very intentional.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Dr. Dancy. You just made it on a Trans Sisters show, George. You made it, bro. Actually, T.S. Madison. That's I've seen her on Instagram.
Used to have a show with Kaya, I think.
Yeah, she's bold. Like she talk big. Like you know what I'm saying?
You out here, boy?
Yeah, you out here. Yo, so while y'all come in the building, we about to go ahead and hype it up. You know what I'm saying? George Lee has become the Justin Timberlake of our NSYNC.
Oh,
he has become the Omarion of RB2K.
Ryan Latrell of Backstreet Boys, because that was my group of choice. You can feel how you want to feel about it.
But was he the?
He was kind of the lead. You know, because I mean, they tried to. It don't matter. He's him. He's Beyonce.
George has become our Beyonce.
He is that nigga.
George has become our Beyonce.
That's fine. Because you don't know girl groups. You just named a bunch of niggas, and where do I fit? You know, it got kind of weird. So now
yeah. He's our T-Boz.
I said that already. I just said that. You're late.
Anyway, the nigga big. The nigga big. We're gonna get the gossip news out the way real quick before Toya bring it in. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Chef Roble just got that work. You know what I'm saying? It's a black celebrity. It is a black celebrity chef. You feel me? Cause shout out to Jadina, recording artist, Grammy Award winning classic man Jadina. You feel me? Tagged, shared. I mean, actually posted a George Lee exclusive, Conscious Lee Edutainment exclusive. You feel me? And had niggas talking. You feel me? Letting, you know what I mean? Talking about George shit. Being the ally that he is. You feel me?
Hey,
and
dude really pissed me off though. You feel me? Like, dude really tried to dude.
Really,
No,
I'm warming you up though. I'm warming you up. So you know what I'm saying? In the comments, Chef Roble, who, if you check out all his posts now that he's getting charged up, is all peace and love and God and all of that shit. But when he posted, nigga came in my nigga George sideways.
You were having it.
And niggas wasn't having it. And now Chef Roble is getting roasted on a post about smoked fried chicken. About him being a transphobe. You feel me? Y'all tweet, share at Chef Roble. Take a seat, bro. Learn something. You feel me? We're not canceling. It's just like just learn something. You feel me? To get some of that edutainment. You know what I mean?
Can you answer one of those questions too? You can genuinely let me know what exactly did I say to trigger getting somebody hurt or getting somebody killed. He can let me know specifically what did I say that was bullshit and what made it bullshit. You feel me? When you say get the fuck out of here, where the fuck am I going and why do I have to get the fuck out of here? Like, let me know. What's up?
Yo, and y'all see where we at? This nigga George is pissing off celebrities. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna say this real quick, George. What if your allyship, you know what I'm saying, and the voice that you have and the reach that you getting put you in direct conflict with Boosie?
Boosie badass.
La Boosie badass. Yo, like I mean, like I say, Kanye shaped, you know what I'm saying, my debate career. Boosie shaped George debate career. You
say whatever little Boosie get on, say, man, I heard about this nigga say his name, the couch is lit. This nigga on here, man, talking about all types of just good names.
Hey, because look, on Jadina Post, you got Janelle Monáe that's showing George love. You got motherfucking Angela Rye showing George love. My man's is out here.
Listen. I rock with Lil Boosie. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Lil Boosie fan. You feel me? And I ain't in the cancel culture, so I'm in the holding niggas accountable. You say something I disagree with it, I'm willing to explain to you why I disagree with you and explain why I feel like we should be able to correct it. You feel me? I listen. I can get loud. Lil Boosie can get loud. You know what I'm saying? If we talking about like straight debating, Boosie's not gonna be able to fuck with me in no debate. You know what I'm saying?
We know that, George. We know that. Like, we know that. You know what I'm saying?
I respect. I keep respectable because he's an elder, but he would not be able to beat me. He would lose.
Hey, George, because that's the thing, bro. Like, you that like to be having this conversation at the time, you know what I'm saying, right now, like you that nigga to be doing that. You feel me?
And I'm trying to stay humble about it, man. I'm seeing.
Nah, we fuck humility, bro. All right, I'll be, you know what I'm saying? I say fuck humility for you, bro.
How about balance? I think balance is good.
Hey, you could be that side, Toya. You could be the one that's like, George, you know, stay cool. I'm gonna be the nigga. Nah, nigga, fuck them. Hey, let's ride, nigga. We riding.
Okay,
George said we in the comments, we in the comments. Nigga. My nigga George said you out of pocket, nigga. But anyway, we got enough people in the building.
Let's go ahead and get it started. We out here. Congrats to George Lee. Congrats to everybody out there making moves and impacts on the world around them in the way that they know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? That's really the biggest thing. You're the biggest example of talking about what you're talking about, and if people gonna listen to it, then so be it. You know what I'm saying? So it's lit. Go ahead and get the show started real quick. Good evening. I don't know if we still calling it quarantine Monday, quarantine, whatever. But you should be closer to your house than you not on a day-to-day basis. So we still gonna call it quarantine Monday. Hey. Shout out to y'all. What's good? What's going on? It's good to see y'all again. You know what's going down, and furthermore, you know who it is. This is your girl Toya G coming to y'all, vibing on this beautiful July evening. I'm with two pretty solid people. To my left, I have somebody who has a know-how of politics ins and outs. Can you talk to the people about who you are, Mr. Politician Man? What do they call you?
They call me the political plug. They call me Damo. You feel me? And it's the chop up, man. We back. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Like, this nigga George got me hyped. You feel me? Let's go. Quarantine Monday. It's still quarantine because you niggas is having spikes and shit. I don't know how to sit the fuck down somewhere, so it's still quarantine.
The videos I seen over the weekend was and I mean I stayed indoors Saturday and Sunday and was just on my couch. I mean, looking at workout videos because I'm back on my grind, but I was definitely indoors. To my right, I have another solid human being out here. We just talked about him a little bit, but I want him to introduce himself. Who's on my right?
Hey man, it's your boy George Lee, aka Consciously. Don't forget to leave. You know, you can find me for booking information for that merchandise at GeorgeLeeSpeaks.com. Real rap, raw shit. Shout out to the Lee fam.
Period. Real quick, I got a couple of things I want to talk about in the context of a snapshot before we get the ball rolling with the topics that we talked about kind of in the comments. First and foremost, we got to talk about Kanye, right? So your boy Ye has popped up out of nowhere, literally unprovoked, uninvited, unnecessarily, and has declared his desires to run for president of the United States. Now, here's the gotcha. In 6 of those 50 states, he is no longer eligible to run for president. He cannot be a part of any of their primaries, he can't be on their ballots, any of those things. And even writing him in comes with special provisions and things that are necessary that he might not have. So you already out of the game.
That he don't have.
You got 44 states left in Puerto Rico, right? So and Guam. I'm sorry. And so here's what that is. Elon Musk has said, great job. Nobody asked Elon Musk, just like nobody asked Kanye, but he done jumped out there and said it's a great idea. I'm all behind it. Couple questions for y'all. Good, bad, or indifferent? What are your feelings about Kanye West trying to run for president? Good, bad, or indifferent?
Go ahead, George.
Man, I got mixed feelings on it. I think that right now we choosing between, you know what I mean, may the best predator win, may the best racist win, you feel me, between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And it's like, hey, man, shit, if Donald Trump, incompetent ass, can run and be the president of the United States of America, why can't, you know what I'm saying, Kanye West be, you know what I mean? But I do see it too. It's like, damn, bro, you was talking about your red hat was a cape, and you was talking about how you was empowered and you know what I'm saying, and kind of reinvested in the politics because of Trump, and now you trying to run against him. You said mixed feelings too. That's why I got mixed feelings about the situations and what's going on.
Questions that need answers, right? And I don't think he's gonna be able to answer them for you in a way that makes any sense between now and November. But Damo, what you thinking?
I don't give a fuck. Like, no, this is silly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like to even engage it like a serious conversation. I mean, of course it's Kanye, so we're gonna talk about it. Like that's the whole purpose of it. But the nigga probably coming out with an album. It's something that's happening. He's trying to do the shit with Gap. You feel me? To make an affordable Yeezy brand. You know what I mean? All of that shit going there. But in terms of like what serious validity, I mean, like I do feel like it does need to be said. We're not. Don't take Kanye serious, even though that's some obvious shit. Like we 6 months, like less than away from an election, and this nigga talking about now I'm gonna run.
Right.
That nigga, that just show how little you understand about the process.
And I mean, he said in the comments, like Kanye is a joke. He's funny. Like there's something to be laughed at.
Watch it, man.
But I mean, but now is it possible, right? Is there a pathway because of like write-in votes and you know all of that type of shit? Like, yeah, but it's like a billion, you know what I'm saying, to 1.
Well,
and he got it.
Here's the most important thing that I think we have to keep in mind, and I think this is the sad failure not only of our political knowledge and ways of navigating these systems, but also it speaks to the apathy that we have, and I think it speaks specifically to the failure of the Democratic Party. Listen, we don't need Kanye on the scene distracting people. Unfortunately, I know in other episodes I said vote for Joe Biden, but I've crossed over. I've changed my mind. I stand corrected. Any vote not for Joe Biden is absolutely a vote for Donald Trump. Right. And I think that is a thing we have to keep in mind. Right. As we get closer and closer to this shit, we continue to see the failures and the mishaps of the coronavirus. This man said on the radio the other day or some interview that 99% of these cases is harmless.
He said that specifically at one of his rallies, man. And
what is happening right now? And so to me, like what bothers me about the Democratic Party in particular, and I'll move on and get off of it from here, is the fact that they have not been able to stimulate and to galvanize their young voter base, so much so that the small shiny thing is able to distract them from the possibilities of voting. So now you went from having people who were not voting because you did nothing to whet their appetite to participate in politics to now voting for more bullshit, which is just replicating in a different direction what Donald Trump got going on. I am of the belief that in some way Donald Trump and Kanye West are in cahoots and have planned this together. I also, and I'm trying not, please check me in the comments and check me in real life if I'm being ableist when I say this, because I'm not trying to be, but we know that Kanye West is also apt for emotional and nervous breakdowns, right? And so you have to really think about not only the experiential level, but also the Donald Trump has no couth in control. there's no specific thing we can attribute that to because, you know, according to his doctor, he's great health. But there are a lot of inexplicable things that his behavior has led to. And at least Kanye has been open and honest about the issues he's been struggling with. But do you think you need to be the president of the United States and that's still some things you're dealing with? 4 months ago, you was on Team Donald Trump. Now you're not. But don't forget you said slavery was a choice or it was good or some shit. And then like you all over the place and can't nobody get behind that. But the Gen Zers not gonna see it like that. I seen literal posts on my timelines of people like Kanye, I'm for it. And I'm just like, what? Two things posted like, yeah, I'm excited, I'm sad, I can't resubmit my ballot. Do you know how dangerous that is?
Yeah, but you know what? This always takes me back to that's why Dave Chappelle is the GOAT to me. I think as much as we give Richard Pryor, you know what I'm saying, his just due, I think Dave Chappelle, because of his political, you know what I'm saying, like messages, has surpassed. Yeah, I say it.
You defend what you want to defend. I can't give him that, but keep going.
I mean, and back when my favorite stand-up, literally, what was it? For What It's Worth, this nigga was like, it was talking about how hard it is to be a black celebrity, and it was like niggas look to you when it's shit that's happening that ain't got nothing to do with you. Like after a 9/11. Nigga, MTV had Ja Rule on the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the planes just hit the towers. You know, Ja, what do you think? Don't nobody give a fuck what Ja Rule think. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody gives a fuck what Ja Rule thinks. You know what I mean? Like, we should not be Kanye West, make music, bro. Like, if your music isn't going to...
Okay, because we were criticized by this, and somebody, I forget who got us for this last time, but we had kind of had a shut up and dribble-esque shut up and just do what pays you as conversation. I think a couple conversations ago, I can't remember who he was criticizing, but somebody who spoke out of time. I think it was T.I. when we was like,
yeah, it was T.I.
And I think Darius had jumped in the comments was like, we got to be wary of some of that language. So we do have just shut up and rap type state. Like I do like there's a space of relevance for that criticism.
I'll say this and I'll let you chime in, George. The key word when we talk about that criticism, it's context. Context. Who's telling you to shut up and dribble and why?
Okay.
Because somebody could be telling you to shut up and dribble to keep you from getting fucked up. Somebody could be telling you to shut up and dribble because you're going in a direction where you about to, you know what I'm saying, take your ass off a cliff. You know what I mean? So if Laura Ingraham on Fox News, she can't say shit that's valid. And if you say shut up and dribble, you definitely crossing the line. Because we already got static. You know what I'm saying? So you start getting disrespectful like that, that's funk. But if it's coming from inside, if your mama tell you to shut up and dribble, you feel me? If your brothers and sisters is like, hey, that's not what it is, bro. Just do what you do. Do what we love you for. Because what you're trying to get into ain't it. When it's your people, when it's the people that made you tell you that, then that means something different.
I don't want to cut you off, but I think this is the right time for the legendary statement. I miss the old Kanye. Like me and you sat over here for my birthday. You came over and kicked it with me, and we had a Kanye West College Dropout concert in this front room and just let them roll, man. Song got the song. And every song we're playing, we'd be like, oh, this is what this healed my soul. Where was this healing at? Where is this healing at now? And so go back to doing that. That was powerful and poignant and game changing and did a whole lot.
In the land where niggas praise UConns and getting paid, it's gonna take a lot more than coupons to get you saved.
Insane. Now this is a snapshot. Lee, I want to give you a chance to talk, and then Terrell actually addressed my concern, I think, with ableism a little bit, and Jada saying some things I want to get to, and then we're gonna cut this off and move to the heart of it. But Lee, what was you about to say?
I think that who it's coming from and what what's the intention of what they saying matters. Context always matters. Like context is key. I look at it like when Joe Biden repeated, if you vote for Trump, you ain't black because you heard black folks say it. In my mind, it's like black people telling a black person to stay in their lane. And we on the same highway. We on the same freeway. I can tell you that. You know what I'm saying? Facts. You don't want that. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, shit, if you on a different freeway, if you ain't on my shit, don't what you mean stay in your lane? You ain't got nothing, you don't worry about yourself here. So I think that there is ways for us to slip into a hubris of thinking of shut up and dribble, but I don't think the intentions, because we're not limiting your capacity and saying that this is the only thing you can do is dribble. we're noticing that this is not your expertise. You recognize there are people that can dribble that has the expertise to talk. The nigga
and we've been saying, like, I mean, I think the bigger criticism of a lot of candidates who are so frustrated with how everything is, whether it be coronavirus or this racism shit, is like, quit making videos and start spending money, donate. Like, you have a pipeline and a vessel to change, and you're not using that, but you want to stand outside and apply, you know what I'm saying, healthcare workers, or do other random, weird, unnecessary stuff on your timeline or with your post or whatever. You out there in a bikini talking about Black Lives. Like, nobody need this damn post. Send some money. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is really what we're getting at. In the comments, they tend to agree with you, Lee, in a couple different places. Black King P says, facts. Oh, Kanye had that real, and that's kind of what we need, a better version of that to be applied. The lane he used to be in. Jada says, it's not shut up and dribble. If you don't know what it's not shut up and dribble if you don't know what you're talking about. I think we have to be mindful of who we give platforms to, because not everyone is equipped to lead. That's exactly what you just said. And then Terrell says there's a difference between shut up and dribble and sit down before you hurt yourself or hurt us, right? And that's a larger emphasis that needs to be put on. Now, one of my concerns, and this is where I'm gonna wrap it up, was, with my relationship to being ableist by talking about the kind of God, I'm just so kind of conscious about these things. I don't want to be problematic, but the aptness that Kanye has to fulfill the demands of the position in the way that needs to be fulfilled, especially at this delicate time in this country. And Terrell says this: for someone who went through depression and other mental health struggles, he's not putting himself in a path of smooth sailing or success. I'm not saying folks with mental health issues shouldn't run for office. I'm not saying that either. I completely agree. I'm saying that anyone who runs for office should do so understanding the severity of what they're doing and the work they're signing up for, right? Are you prepared to have a first lady that people ridicule because her sex tape is still on the internet? Are you going to lash out and be defensive about that in ways that undermine the integrity of the presidency, right? Are those things you willing to be pushed on and questioned about in a presidential debate without losing?
Is that something that your constituents should have to deal with? You
know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of levels and layers.
Fuck. I'm a sick fuck. I like a quick fuck. I'm a sick. No? Okay.
I mean, and so, like, and but we have Donald Trump, who liked to grab pussies and like to do a whole bunch of problematic things, and he overcame and travailed. But we also have Donald Trump, right? And so I'm not about to pick him as a good example, because I think a lot of his past told us and showed us what the future could have and hold. And I think those same things have to be true about Kanye West. Listen, love Black people want to be politically active in these conversations. I think the era of Donald Trump, it's time we'll see whether or not this has created a new trajectory for political participation at the highest levels in this country, or if this is something America's going to look back at and be like, hell no, we messed that up. Time will tell, right? But in the meantime, we got to pass on this one, if for no other reason. It really fractures what we're trying to do, which is to bring some and share some legitimacy to the fact that any vote against Donald Trump that's not for Joe Biden is just kind of gonna waste our time at this point. We got some bigger fish to fire. We will get him out in 4 years, but at this point, we holding on for dear life. So here we are, and there it was. That's been a snapshot talking a little bit about Kanye 2020. I'm good. We good. Turn it back over to y'all. Who's next?
We about to get into this. We about to get into the culture chop. It's a weird conversation that's going on right now, y'all. It's really weird. There is an internal beef with Black men, a group of Black men who see themselves in a particular light, and Black Lives Matter as a movement. All right, this beef stems from the fact that on multiple Black Lives Matter page, including the Black Lives Matter Global Network page, which is essentially just blacklivesmatter.com, when it's listing the type of families that it affirms and the things that it affirms, it specifically does not say fathers. The word fathers is not included in the language of Black Lives Matter, right? And there are certain Black men who look at that and say this is a direct attempt, specifically by white liberals, to create a movement to divide Black people by putting in gay issues, by putting in feminism, and using that to demonize and exclude the Black man. Is that something that y'all are aware of? Are y'all on game? Have y'all heard?
No.
Have y'all heard?
No. Nah, never heard of it.
I haven't heard it, but I mean, I've heard it not in overarching like Black fathers. I've heard it in the context of, you know, the traditional Black Lives Matter is attempting to break up the kind of the Black on Black love, Black relationships, Black sustainability, and kind of because of its inclusions of queerness and its lack of focus on talking about Black people and Black issues, which is always rebutted with, well, every Black movement, Black Lives Matter movement or form of activism we've seen has been overly emphasized on Black men, but people have still just been like, nah, we don't see ourselves in the vision of that larger movement, and it's against every. And of course, George Soros is funding it all anyway. So this white man and this white liberal is behind it.
Yeah, because we got them comments too. We got them comments too, but you ain't heard about it either, George.
No, I ain't heard about that one at all, man. It sounds like a little. To me, it seems semantic-y, man. Like
it is. But you know how these niggas get, bro. You know how these niggas get. I was just in a Facebook conversation with my nigga Nate G. He a rapper out of Dallas. Look that nigga up, SoundCloud, all that shit. And he just dropped the project. The shit is dope.
Via DC.
Yeah, he in Dallas via DC. Yeah, he from DC, but he in Dallas right now. Shout out to my nigga. But we was just going back and forth on Facebook about the word Black. And nigga, he shared a post saying, nigga, we shouldn't call ourselves Black. Stop calling ourselves Black. And I'm like, nigga. What is like what do you mean? And then he said some shit about Black's Law Dictionary and what it says Black mean in Black's Law Dictionary and all this other shit. So like niggas play these semantic games, you know what I mean, with certain concepts that they're not 100% familiar with, and it ends up pitting them against other niggas. Because what I'm gonna tell y'all is, because I know y'all agree with this and y'all done heard this, because this is essentially what Toya was saying, but their argument overall is that the fact that Black Lives Matter has been started or was essentially spearheaded and made famous and branded and turned into a movement by queer women, queer Black women specifically, that is a problem for the Black community. From their eyes, from their perspective. Now, I know y'all seen that.
No, my criticisms, they're never couched like that. It's more of a where are the Black men kind of, why don't these Black
men? It's not as explicit.
It's
not as explicit.
It's not as explicit. But undertone.
Okay.
Undertones.
Okay.
I will grant there's a lot of undertones from Black people about the legitimacy of Black Lives Matter and the needs, their ability to not be so fractured and splintered in goal and in concept that they actually meet the needs of the Black community. That's been the biggest kind of criticism, is that there's so many appendages to what they want to do. And because they're mobilized by Black queer women, that the concerns will never dip deep enough to really resolve a lot of the issues in the Black community, most of which you know, affect and impact Black men, right? And so it's just like it's watered down. They think that it's a watered down form of liberation or resistance that is the agenda of white people. Right. You know, in so many words.
Come down to.
Let me. Yeah, go ahead, George.
I think that there are some legitimate criticisms of Black Lives Matter, but I think that when they start getting reduced down to just it's funded by a white man or it's started by, you know what I'm saying, queer Black women, is like, to me, it's like, again, what's the impact? Because in my mind, it's like George Floyd, man, shout out to that nigga son from live in my hood, west side of Bryan, Texas, you feel me? And we seen what Stephen Jackson was doing for his, you know what I'm saying, shit, what was doing for his daughter, you know what I'm saying? So in my mind, it's like the impact of the language in terms of practice, in terms of functionality of the movement and of the organization, where is the cross application for how it excludes? It does semantics. Like,
and to further prove this semantic point, I'm always skeptical when Black people and white people have the same talking points, right? So white people is like, it's funded by George Soros, and Black people are like, it's funded by George Soros. I'm like, wait. And so I think the link in the chain that's missing, and here's what makes me skeptical, not that all of the criticism are wholesale bad, but a lot of them connected to George Soros are weird, is that, yes, George Soros has publicized on the website, contributed money to Black Lives Matter, white liberalism, white apologetics, whatever you want to call it. He did that shit. But a huge component of Black womanism and of Black resistance in general is taking white people's resources and flipping it and not letting them run and direct and dictate that shit. One thing I've never heard outside of this overarching criticism that a white man is cash flowing, or whatever the phrase is, bankroll is
what is tied to it? No.
Patricia Cullors, Alicia Garza, all these women have gone and spoken and done, and I've never heard criticisms of their politics. And I'm not saying they don't exist, but the link in the chain that I'm missing is how they're specifically applying and going about, their orientation toward now. A caveat, because I want to stay close to Black fathers, but this is one thing I have heard was about a month ago, there was huge criticisms about how money's being spent because we saw a huge influx of money go to Black Lives Matter, the organization, not the concept, not the theory, not the social position, but the organization.
It was like a foundation.
And so
it's they different.
Being allocated there, which is a separate conversation, but that is a more teethy criticism that I would have of that organization, instead of where the money is coming in, flowing in, when people is matching that and then somewhere, now where is it going? Because
that's a criticism of the organizational structure, and because Black Lives Matter is like horizontally structured, like there's no hierarchy. It's all like everybody's able to, it's the franchise. Anybody's able to create it. If I wanted a motherfucking Black Lives Matter Long Beach, I just needed to find some more niggas, then we could get that shit cracking. It's not hard. And we could do it without nobody's supervision. You know what I'm saying? And that's to have the organization. But the movement, though, essentially, what niggas is saying, and shout out to my nigga Nick, you know what I'm saying? He in the chat. He said his question is where the money going. And that's but when we dealing with 501c3s, when you dealing with tax exempt organizations, when you dealing with charities, one thing that we learned about in debate is the nonprofit industrial complex. So we know that it's heavy salaries. You know what I'm saying? A lot of money spent on bullshit, a lot of money spent on schmoozing, a lot of money spent on things that all the money is not spent in the direction that niggas always wanted to go. And that's just
everything is not to enrich the mission. Everything is not to literally help what your value is supposed to be about, what you're supposed to be doing. Shit, when we start figuring it out, only like 30% of your funds and efforts be going to that shit. The other 70% is spent balling and parlaying.
But I want to ask y'all this though. I want to ask y'all this specifically though.
Go ahead.
Do y'all not see a problem? Do you see it as a legitimate problem with Black men, Black fathers specifically, that when you look at these about pages and when you go through like what we stand for, what we affirm, they specifically say that they affirm that Black mothers, but they don't say anywhere in that language Black fathers. They say parents, you know what I'm saying? They affirm same-sex couples. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you why I'm conflicted about the absence of that language and how it becomes.
Shout out to Chris X, he in the building too.
Of course. But the comments is also moving. Jada said, "Here we go." So I want to get those too. But here's why I'm conflicted, and I'm able to be happily conflicted. On one hand, and me and Damo talked about this on the phone, the lack of Black fathers or the lack of Black men, and raising a stink and a criticism about it and using that to legitimize not supporting Black Lives Matter efforts is the same logic and rhetoric of people who say, what about on our college campuses that say, what about a white student union? Or why don't we get a white history month? It's like masculinity and Black manness and Black maleness has been at the forefront of movements. Huh?
I was thinking of Horton Spiller's Mama's Baby, Papa's Maybe.
Come on, get some literature and some scholarship next to it.
George, are you sourcing information? Is that an academic source from a Black woman that you citing right there?
Damn right it is. Shout out to the OG Horton Spillers. And then literally white man Moynihan went to the hood and I think it was the 80s. Was it the 80s? I think it was the 80s. Can't remember it was the 80s or the 70s. But anyway, Moynihan went for the federal government to the hood to do an analysis to try to figure out what in the hell is wrong with the Black community. And what the Moynihan report was concluded, well, I feel like
it's missing Black fathers.
Graciously concluded is that the reason why the Black community is dysfunctional is because it's led by women. I think that it's the same trajectory. Literally, you saying the reason why the Black Lives Matter movement can be effective because it's led by women. It's the same hubris thinking. My mind's like,
but here's let me turn. I'm gonna give you my other conflicting side of it, and that other conflicting side is gonna be the same side, the other side of that same coin. Because
I want George, because I want George to respond, and then Brent Rice, you know what I'm saying? He said some shit too.
Talking his business, and that's my homeboy. I want to shout out to Brent. What up, bro?
Dr. Dancy said the Moynihan report was in the 60s, George. Go ahead, Toya.
But the other side of this is that I think it is politically and activistically responsible to challenge the misnarration of Black masculinity and Black fatherhood, because there is a world where there is this conception that Black men don't exist, and they're not in their child's lives, and they're terrible fathers. And I know so many great Black dads. You know what I'm saying? And we know so many great Black dads, and so many of us, you know, outside of the ones who we're not fortunate. This is not unique. It's white people, brown people, Latinx people, Asian people who daddies leave and go do other business too. And we don't talk about them the same way we don't talk about intercommunal violence in their communities. We'll talk about that in a moment. But what we see is that a lie is being told on Black men. And so I do understand the necessity and the utility of forefronting and centering Black fatherhood as an important component of flipping the narrative and centering Black lives that do matter, because we need to talk about these Black daddies doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm conflicted, because on one side, again, White History Month, white student unions, like, why don't we have it? Because we know already, right? You're the dominant culture. Like subcultures, there's a reason that activism exists, and that's because stuff in the back need to come to the front. But the other side is do need to be trying to re-narrate.
Oh, that was, hey, I ain't about to let you get away with that one there. That was clean. She said activism exists. You know what I'm saying? Because the people in the back, they need to be pulled to the front.
This is why we have subcultures, major cultures and minor cultures, meta cultures and minor cultures, and macro cultures, is because of the challenge and the attempt to shift the apparatus.
But I think
that's real shit.
I think many people be having like gender identity illiteracy, because when Black Lives Matter say they affirm same-sex marriage, to me it show how people have kind of fucked up notions of homosexuality and Black men. Because it's like, hey, you do realize that it's some Black fathers that's same-sex parents. So if they say same-sex parents, that's still accounted for in there. You feel me? And all the Black people that's died. It's fathers. George Floyd, father. Rashard Brooks, father. Come on, like what is the impact of your criticism? To me, it sounds like an analysis that is rhetorical semantics.
Yeah.
Cause look. I mean, you know, I be on YouTube a little bit, so the impact is what they're saying is they're trying to actively work to remove them, because I think it's so much information is out right now. You know what I'm saying, in terms of like about people studying shit. What I've come to understand is that people don't think that people actually study shit like race, gender, and sexuality and none of that shit. People don't think people study that shit. People don't think that there are individuals who have written entire books.
Basically.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't think that, bro. Because what you see is everybody, they think that these questions and conversations about gender and gender identity and sex and sexuality, they think that these things are conversations that are just, oh, it's known. What you mean? That's what I know. Like, that's what my daddy taught me. That's what they taught my daddy. What, nigga? What? You feel me? And the problem is that this same conversation is coming from people who are saying that we should actively challenge the ways that we've been taught, things that we've been taught. Like, so if we should challenge what we've been told about Blackness, if we should challenge what we've been told about specifically Black men, we should also challenge what we've been told about Black women. We should also challenge what we've been told about gay Black people, trans Black people. All of those things are up for question when we know that who gave us, like the Moynihan report is something that a lot of Black people use to affirm the criticism of Black communities and the failure of Black women.
And don't even know it though. Don't even recognize
they don't.
Man, you gotta be.
And that's what makes it so bad. It's so sad because it's like you don't even. I'm looking at you and I feel sorry for you. Like I feel because it's like you're not there. What was you about to say, Toya?
The same logic as white people and whiteness. Like anytime you take something they made and try to flip it to prove a point, I'm good. You missed it. You missed and you fell into the dog whistle that has us able to look at and internalize, you know, the oppression that we have against each other.
Let's go back to that metaphor we had in the last segment. Remember, I said it's like, hey, we on the same freeway. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, shut up. And just, to me, in my mind, it's like now you trying to use the acceleration and engine. That's not what's on this freeway. You feel me? That's not freeway right now. You trying to do too much. You feel me? We got four-way and you trying to bring it on 18 wheeler. This shit.
But I think we definitely need to use this opportunity to kind of explain specifically why that language was left out. And I want to know what y'all think. This is my analysis.
Before we move on, these comments will stop in there real quick. I'll alert these people real fast.
Oh yeah, we definitely gotta get into this. Let me not do that. Where we at? We got Terrell Taylor said, to the end of acknowledging Black men, why would the conversation immediately move to calling out a conspiracy as opposed to asking for a few words on Black fathers? I think it's because of the energy that's like given to it, right? It's like instead of asking, well, why aren't Black men included? It's automatically assumed that because of who's in charge, they're actively working against the interest of Black fathers, which means there's an assumption that's being made about the Black women who started and who are pretty much the faces of the movement, and that assumption paints them in the light that they are actively working in the interest against the interests of Black men.
Explain it even better, right? It is this kind of perceptual notion, and we talked about this earlier, that Black women are ill-equipped to lead movements, right? That it can't be them, that Black queer women can't be the ones to speak for the liberation and freedom of Black people writ large, which is why we have to be skeptical of why certain things are certain ways, which, you know what I'm saying? And that's the kind of the fracturing nature of white supremacy, number one, but also the inability for us to latch on and love on each other in moments where we need to, because we understand, what have we been saying? The liberation of Black, for example, Black trans women is the liberation for all of us. The liberation of Black women is liberation for all of us, right? Liberation is, and so that we just don't agree on what it takes and what it means to be free and the pathway to getting there. And if you only gonna criticize me, if you don't care about where we're going, but you only gonna criticize how I drive, then forget the trip. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a struggle writ large, right? And so nobody knows what to do with that. Nobody ever knows what to do with that. And you end up starting back at a place where Black men, Black cis men in particular, are just upset and frustrated. Jada says, my bad.
No, you got it.
Jada says also, this versus language feels very in very opposition. Let me see. Also, this versus language feels very in opposition of, instead of creating space for Black men or Black fathers. It's about carving out spaces.
That versus language. That versus language. And I'm gonna get into that explanation too. Yeah, go ahead.
Jada also says, not saying that space isn't already there, but I think it's a linguistic thing. I absolutely agree. Yes. And man, this devil's advocate position that niggas get to take before as they gatekeep change and liberation is mind-blowing, because Terrell kind of speaks to this when he says this whole question everything logic quickly becomes a conservative position. And that's what people don't realize. We don't need no more devil's advocates. We don't need no more devils. We don't need no more people who are trying to provide. Look, the train is moving. Get on board, get out the way, or get ran over. You know what I'm saying? And that the
devil stay busy. He don't need no more advocates. He don't need no more advocates. Stay busy enough.
Not a train is moving. Don't nobody need your help trying to derail it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think becomes frustrating, is to see something with momentum, to see something movement, and your first action is to be like, nope, that gotta be bad. No, it's movement. It's momentum, work in partnership. I really wish I was born in the 90s, but more politically apt and capable, because I want to know what Black women were saying about the Million Man March. I don't know if a lot of Black women were like, well, what about Black women? Where's the Black Women March? They knew that their Black men, their constituents, were out there in the mix, out there pounding the pavement, out there making moves in DC, and they just behind that, as far as I know. Right? It was a link in the chain to our liberation. So I just don't ever remember hearing it narrated that Black women were just like, the Million Man March. What about the Black women? I just don't think that was happening, because it was understood that Black men were out there advocating for family, for community, for people. And people got behind it. So
what was you about to say, George?
Nah, I was about to echo Toya and just looking like.
Because just to let y'all know, George Mike is literally is the most polite mic on the panel right now. Whenever any other mic comes on, George Mike turns up.
I was like that though. I'm like, it ain't never been like this before, ever. Like this time, it's like I can't talk unless everybody else is completely silent, because they talk. My mic will not. Can't hear me at all.
It's love though. It's love. That's why we making sure the book is. Look, this is probably the first time in the history of a group that the lead singer Mike just would not get right. I think he's trying to tell you something.
Enough for me to get. I can't give you mine, so you just gotta work.
Hey, but so I'm gonna say this as we kind of round it out. Because what Jada said helps us get kind of more so to answering the question of what is the purpose behind specifically leaving out Black fathers, because she says, not saying that space isn't already there, but but she thinks it's a linguistic thing, and that's 100% correct. If you study any feminist literature, there's always a question in the conversation of language, of linguistics, like labels. What do they mean, right? And Black Lives Matter being led by Black feminists or Black queer feminists, you feel me? Like these aspects of their identity matter because it helps you understand why they think the way that they do. Then the one thing,
the position of politics in many instances what we see, man. And you know what Huey P. Newton said, power is the ability to define a phenomenon and make it act in a desired manner. We know when you define things, it is literally structuring how we talk about language.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So we know when we talk about something, what we mean and what we don't mean automatically, to me, structures the meaning of what we actually saying.
Sure.
So it's like when you say parent, what is being implied? When you say we affirm same-sex parents, what is actually being implied here?
Right. And so the argument within the question of language is the term father specifically is exclusionary to same-sex marriages or same-sex parents, right? Because it's like if you have two women who are parents, there's no father there. You know what I'm saying? Like and then on top of that, what a lot of this conversation sits around is what niggas think a family should look like. And so they're disguising this conversation of not having the father there, ignoring like the literature and the study of why that word specifically wasn't there. Because like we've proven over the course of this conversation that Black fathers are not only affirmed, but they're the faces of the fucking movement.
That's what Dr. Dancy is saying in the comments. Read this comment real quick.
Dr. Dancy said, also Black men and Black fathers are already centered within Black communities. Damn near all BLM protests have formed around Black boy, men, and father bodies. And Dr. Dancy is 100% correct. Why the fuck do you think people started saying say her name? Think about that. During the time we're saying Black Lives Matter, motherfuckers are saying say her name.
Like that was a later appendage that got added with Sandra Bland, and that was because there was a recognition that there wasn't enough noise being made. The same way they was making noise for Trayvon, the same way they was making. There was a stark difference. We see that at protests. Breonna Taylor's name now, because she's the new hot trending meme-ish thing, which y'all got to stop doing that shit too. But Breonna Taylor has now taken prominence because people have been calling people to the carpet on the way Black Lives Matter. Hey, so it's crazy how it all becomes in a weird way, this weird Venn diagram that comes full circle where it's like you are upset about being excluded and left out of a movement that has had to have a sub-movement created to make sure that Black women are not forgotten about. So what really is your situation and your issue and your problem with that?
Well, let me ask you this, George. Do you think, George, hold on, answer this specifically. Do you think that leaving the word or the phrase Black fathers out to make that more inclusive, do you think that it's worth it to do that to when you have people that perceive it the way that it's being perceived right now? Like, is that effort worth it?
I think the effort is worth it. I think the current people that is making a hoopla, is causing all this ruckus about Black fathers being left out, I think they literally working from the same mode of all lives matter. We say Black lives matter, you say all lives matter, you literally trying to push the status quo. The status quo already centers Black men and Black fathers. This is how I think about it. I'm trying to say it simple, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to parenthood, I believe that women, particularly Black women, are inscribed inherently, have to wear it on their bodies, motherhood. I'm a father. You know what I'm saying? I'm a father. You feel me? When I'm kicking it with my boys, I'm not, my body isn't oriented towards as a father. You feel me? When I walk on campus and I'm teaching, my body isn't oriented like a father. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Black man that's sometimes fathers, or that's also a father on the side. I think that when a woman becomes a mother, they have to wear that on their bodies all the time. You feel me? When you with your friends, you a mother first. When you at work, you at work because you a mother. You feel me? When you chilling, you chilling because you a mother. And my mind,
can I ask a person there?
Huh?
When you trying to date, and even if you ain't with the other parent of your child, Black dudes with a dad, oh yeah, it's so cute, whatever. Black women with babies, undesirable. Oh my God, you already missed past your prom. I want to date you.
I mean, for a fact, let me walk on campus with one of my kids or both of my kids.
Come on.
They may give me the award, you know what I'm saying? But also, too, thinking about it in terms of dating. When a woman has a child, the child is automatically seen as a like either some baggage, a burden, or some extra love on too. A woman can take on a man, and nigga can be a deadbeat, can be sorry as hell, ain't never got kids, and they ain't never gonna be brought on him. You know what I'm saying? So I think the mere language of being a mother and being a father, I think that we have to always be very specific in being able to account for mothers, because we know that literally becomes your identity. It becomes you. You sleep as a mother, you wake up as a mother, you tired as a mother, you run as a mother. You know what I'm saying? Fatherhood isn't inscribed. I'm proud to be a father. I take care of my kids. I love my kids. But like we said, it's somebody that studies gender and sexuality, damn it. Niggas is not wearing fatherhood on their body like that.
Nah. I mean, yeah, go ahead, Toya.
I was gonna say, you know, this is a good time because we said
the comment.
Got a lot of comments popping.
Yeah.
Should we transition to the next thing? I won't cut you off either.
Yeah, I want to start with Brent. He said, when the most oppressed person in the room is liberated, we are all liberated, which is why I think why fathers isn't necessarily mentioned on the BLM website. Black women and Black LGBTQIA plus members are the most oppressed people on this planet. In their freedom, fathers will find their freedom. Duh, nigga. That's why you niggas is useless. And let me do this real quick, y'all. Let me do this real quick. You niggas is in the way. Straight up. Like right now, at a time where you got people that want to be like, hey, we got something to stand up for. This is our movement. With every criticism that niggas have, Toya, I'm sure, has a criticism. I have a criticism. George has a criticism. With all of these criticisms, the one thing we understand is that there is a bigger fucking movement and message that's happening. And you niggas think y'all being smart by being like, look, they trying to leave us out. No, nigga. You playing out white supremacist programming in a way where you positioning your women as the blockades to your freedom. What kind of silly shit is that? What the fuck? Like when niggas really get on the internet thinking they smart because you can say, well, gay women, like that ain't for black men. Who the fuck told you that? It's you niggas is in the way. But anyway,
I was preaching.
Yeah, I just I ain't want to rant too much, but it's just like, yo, it's fucking annoying because like what passes as intellect amongst Black social media like is frustrating. I'll say that. To be nice, to be fair, it's frustrating. Well, like it, and I call it meme scholarship. Like niggas will see something on Facebook like with some graphics and some fucked up shit happening in the background and say some wild shit. And because with all the shit that's going on, you like, hell yeah. Then you see your nigga and be like, nigga, did you know? All because you was scrolling up and down motherfucking Facebook talking about some did you know? Nigga, you don't know.
Yeah.
You didn't do no fucking research.
You didn't sit and come to a nice
call it memes.
You said what you would?
He said he called it meme
because misinformation is real, but you'll be educated on if the information is legitimate or not if you do some research instead of me search. You know what I'm saying? So I recognize that memes is full of information, but it can also be misinformation.
Hey, meme scholarship, meme search.
It's kind of like Wikipedia. I don't know where you think these memes came from. They came from somebody with an app in time. You know what I'm saying? Like they literally came with an opportunity to make something and a platform to put it on. So you got to take it a step further and read for yourself. It's kind of like the Bible. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the faith, whatever faith system you have. You can listen to somebody preach that thing, but at the end of the day, you got to go that thing for yourself. Dr. Dancy, what did he say?
Dr. Dancy said, and also the few Black girls and women who get some national attention have to die the way men die. But when women are violenced against in ways that men usually aren't, they are rendered invisible to movements. For instance, Daniel Holtzclaw raping all them Black women in Oklahoma City. That's facts. That's the type of shit that when niggas be like, I mean, and we gonna talk about the intercommunal shit. We definitely gonna get there, y'all. We gonna talk about that shit. But when niggas start talking about, well, y'all didn't march and when this happened, like this is the shit that we need to be saying that on. Like, hey, pay attention. If there's any criticism to how we move, is that we move too patriarchal. If there's any criticism to the movement, is that we don't focus on women enough. You feel me? So
it I mean, on a really petty level, we haven't even talked about the violence. We'll talk about it, I guess, maybe when we get to intracommunal. But we don't even talk about the violence, like on just a petty surface level, right? Like,
hold on, real quick.
Level.
Y'all keep it going.
If Black men are uniquely and hyper violent to Black women, I don't know if y'all heard the most recent Lil Wayne and 50 Cent conversation when they're sniggling and giggling about how Black women ain't exotic. You bored of seeing the same thing every day. When you see the same thing every day, why wouldn't you want to jump on the first thing you see that move a little different, talk a little different? When Black women are the most hated women on the planet, and Black men add significantly, uniquely, and very richly to that reality. So just on a petty level, nigga, why would I want to give you all? Look at how you do me, dog. Like, look at how you do me. Not that we should be petty, but look at how you do me. So when I want to be sympathetic to making space and doing, you can look at so many examples. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying we should refracture or fracture in the reverse way, the coalitions and relationships we have in Black communities, but just on the surface level, man, look how you do me. Look how you treat me.
Look how you do me.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not so far, it's such a far gone conclusion that, you know, we got some stuff we got to massage and get together on everybody's part, is what I'm saying. It's everybody coping.
That's facts, and that's yeah, man. That's the culture chop.
That's
you know, Toya always leave niggas with it speechless because if she don't leave it with nothing else to say,
I'll be mad, man. By the time so upset.
But hey, if y'all can't tell, it's hot as hell in California. Jesus,
hey, man, we're gonna try to make this 20 minutes. You feel me? Man, so over the weekend, we had the 4th of July weekend. We're gonna call this the conscious shop, you know, of course. We had over 9 Black kids that were murdered due to some senseless bullshit that whatever, you know what I'm saying, people just doing on, you know, 4th of July. I'm gonna zoom in to one of them though. Police say an 8-year-old girl was shot and killed in Atlanta on 4th of July. At least 2 people in the crowd opened fire on the car she was in. Authorities identified the girl as Sharisha Turner. And Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms called for justice at an emotional news conference Sunday and the girl's grief-stricken mother. The shooting happened near the Wendy's where Rashard Brooks was killed. In Atlanta, police officer June 12th. The Wendy's was later burned and the area later became a flash for demonstrations. What do y'all think about Keisha Lance Bottoms' criticism of this 8-year-old girl being shot in Atlanta? She said something along the lines is, we can't blame police brutality for this one. We did it to ourselves. What are y'all thoughts?
2 things. One, huge conflation of social dynamics and the ways that things play out and just movements and things that are happening. I hate it when Black people get up and pretend that they're not community coalitions and movements every single day, doing everything from Crime Stoppers and trying to get tips on crimes and stuff like that to fighting against this, mothers against gun violence and daughters and kids against gun. It's so many organizations in the hood fighting against us. So don't sit here and act like Black people just be sitting on their hands while this is happening to us. Niggas is active and busy. And I think it's a spit in the face on local activism that you want to focus on the more national activism or the kind of the drops of national activism that are having impacts on your community without looking at the people who probably been hollering at you as a mayor for more funds and resources to galvanize those movements to begin with. Secondly, this is another example of a time where even if you were right, and we have a lot of these conversations on this show, even if you got a point, you don't get on TV and say that shit. Those are backdoor, quiet conversations. Those are conversations, but you don't give ammunition to white systems and structures and talking points and conservatives to sit up here and have this immeasurable metric and try to put together and fix together this incongruent example of violence that happens to Black communities, and they get to put it together again because you said some shit. Shut up. Even if you might have been right. Nigga, say that to other niggas. Do not get on camera.
You don't say that on fucking TV.
You can't say nothing. This is like nobody asked you for that, man. Like, come on. But more importantly, I think her comments are a spit in the face to Black activists who are out there every single day grinding and putting in work, trying to stop the violence that happens in our community because it ain't new to us.
And before I'm gonna chime in, let me just give y'all 2 organizations specifically that I know is nationwide that be in the hood in the trenches. Every time a nigga kill a nigga or somebody come up dead and the person that looked like them killed them, Ceasefire is an organization that's been very, 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 very active for over the past decade. And also SOS, Save Our Street. These are two organizations that's in the hood, by the hood, for the hood, that literally do shit when things go down in the hood, in terms of somebody has lost their life or some type of violence is happening, to say, stop the violence. Ceasefire. We went 58 hours with somebody getting shot. We've went 3 days without gun violence. You know what I'm saying?
Like who y'all think is compiling them statistics?
Organizations that
like people don't just give that information out. Like it's just like police. We're giving people compile those statistics.
Yes.
Go ahead, George.
That's all I want to, you know what I'm saying? Damo, I want, you know what I'm saying? What you think about Keisha Bottom, Mayor Bottom's criticism?
Yeah, I think it's goofy as fuck. It's so easy, man, to like just to shit on black people. Like we forget like how it's low hanging fruit. Like that's exactly what you expect a motherfucker to say when some shit happen with niggas. See, y'all can't blame this one on. Of course we fucking can't. We know that the police didn't fucking do it. Like we got communities across the country that's dealing with babies dying because of gun violence. But the circumstances of what created that violence is different. And that's why the conversation is lazy.
Come on. You know what I'm saying? Every and this is again, this will be the third time I've said it on the show tonight. Anytime white people and black people have the same talking points, I am skeptical because
you have to be.
Omit the structural conditions that create and justify the intracommunal violence we see in black communities in the first place. Poor schooling, over policing, poverty, food deserts. Poverty and being hungry and hot lead to niggas committing crimes and shooting up stuff. You have the trauma and the psychological violence, but not only the contemporary racial issues and social issues, because these same people lost their jobs. You want to talk about these as bored, hot, hungry people?
Yeah.
So do you just ignore the social science?
I mean, and it's like, okay, like let's like
that is what is mind numbing to me. It's just like, bro, there is no explanation for police killing people, but there are explanations for why intracommunal violence happens. Right. How do you jump behind the one that doesn't, that is just illogical, stupid?
Right. Like one is okay, look at the circumstances, look at look at the community, look at what caused the violence, look at and the other one is, okay, why did you do all of that anyway? You know what I mean? It's like we sit here and we don't understand that there are two separate conversations. What happened at that protest and the death of that of that baby is completely separate from the protest and the marches against institutional violence. Because we're gonna get into explaining, I'm saying, that difference. But in terms of just that, like what was wrong with her criticism was that it was like she was positioning herself with the status quo, taking pot shots at the movement because it's easy. It sounds good. You want to criticize the people, so you take the low-hanging fruit. It's the status quo.
It's also a personal move to protect yourself because you want to make it seem like I'm doing all I can and I'm out here defending y'all and speaking up on behalf of y'all and doing what I'm supposed to be doing and look at what y'all do. Like those that they
ain't doing this no motherfucking favor. You doing your job, silly man,
and doing it poorly. You know what I'm saying? Which is the phenomenally interesting part, because anybody who lives in Atlanta will tell you how the white flight and city organization of that particular place has castigated black people all over in random places and nooks and crannies of the Atlanta area. And as they attempt to buy back and remake it black and do their whole Black Wall Street again, in the words of T.I. and Killer Mike, there are a lot of structural local barriers to those things being meaningful and taking shape. So I'm just stop.
But you know what? And yeah, and before we get to the next question, y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Why is it that when black people get, you know what I'm saying, ask for justice from an unjust system, right? Ask for justice because of injustices that have been caused by like the society, you know what I'm saying? Like the institutions that are really meant to protect. When we ask for justice for that, it's treated like charity. It's treated like, I mean, y'all ask for it, y'all be trying to, but see, y'all be, you know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, nigga, like the problem is that we suffer from these circumstances when we shouldn't. all like people die, like people get like people do dumb shit, people beef and they kill each other. You feel me? Like that, like that's community type shit. That's community based shit. But we shouldn't be killed by the police though.
It's proximity based.
Like if anybody should kill us, statistically, it should be somebody that look like me. Statistically. But when people that don't look like me end up killing us, it's the fucking people in charge.
The irony.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
see it as us, like Dr. Dancy said, and actually the job of the police is not to murder the citizens. Her words suggest that if black people can kill each other, police should be able to, which always kind of bothers me because it's like people that you talk about, like in terms of intracommunal violence, or what they like to call black on black violence, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote, we recognize that you literally putting on the same playing field of the police, the same expectations that you, so you have the same expectations of gang members that you have of the police. The police, so gang members can kill each other, the police should be able to kill you too.
We can't blame this one on the police, y'all.
Another attempt to make something that should not make sense. I either kill by police, trying to make it make sense. You did. I mean, clearly,
and it's a lot of shit you can say, Toya. It's a lot of shit you can say. You could have just got up there and said, "Y'all fucking up." You could have really got up there and said, "Y'all are fucking up," and niggas would have been like, "Yeah, man." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about it though, because think about the circumstances. It was protesters firing weapons that ended up, you know what I'm saying? It was people that were there demonstrating, and it was their weapons that end up hurting somebody from their own community. If you tell them that they fucking up, that's a valid criticism. Like, I mean, yeah, you should have your guns. Go ahead.
You have to, but yeah, I agree with that, because you don't have to couch in that you fucking up to. Y'all can they can fuck up too then, like, you know what I mean? But hey though, I like to give context though. So for my people that's listening to us, been through this word intracommunal violence around a few times. I hope that through context you've been able to really see what we're talking about when we say intracommunal violence. But just to be clear, when we say intracommunal violence, we're talking about the inner communal violence, or the things that happen inside of our community, with us, amongst us, by us, in terms of conflict and violence. It's usually couched as being black on black crime, but today we're being mindful about our language. You feel me? I'm a student of Huey P. Newton. You feel me? Huey P. Newton, somebody that was able to light that fire up under my ass and made me start thinking about things a little bit differently. Huey P. Newton says that power is the ability to define the phenomenon and make it act in a desired manner. He said power is the ability to define the phenomenon and make it act in a desired manner. Today we are attempting to define multiple phenomena when it comes to black fatherhood and Black Lives Mattering, all the way up into the understanding of black on black crime and intracommunal violence, because we recognize that black people get pathologized for having beef amongst ourselves and say, well, shit, y'all got beef amongst yourselves. People can beef with y'all too. You know what I'm saying? But before I be petty and fallacious and start throwing out shit, let me ask a question. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. For you to your question.
Yeah.
George Oliver said, but everybody understands that community violence and police violence are two separate issues. People in power don't care. It's their design. But it allows those who would otherwise be kinfolk an avenue to keep their relationship with their masters, to keep their positions and parcels of power given to them. Yeah, you use an excuse to undermine Black Lives Matter by saying, see, you can't blame this one on the police. Then you seem partial to the people in control. That's a great comment. Great comment.
Into a hell of a read.
Hey, and Dr. Dancy, I said, yo, he messy. Like he said, she need to talk about this damn COVID she got.
Look, somebody on Twitter, somebody said, y'all need to check closer in the pictures from Atlanta, because Keisha Lance Bottoms done popped her ass down in one of them parties, one of them 4-day weekend soirees.
Yeah.
Intermingled. She say she is symptomatic, so ain't no telling. It'd be a shame. Mayor.
Them freak reunions.
Lee, question though, yeah.
So, does intracommunal violence fit within the Black Lives Matter movement? Should it?
While Toya's thinking, I'll say this.
Okay.
Movements have purposes, right? Like the Black Lives Matter phrase and all of that shit. Like, it's not Black Lives Matter in if Keith is listening, shout out to the homie. When we was roommates, we used to have this argument, and I would always tell that nigga, bro, like Black Lives Matter is not a message to black people. It's not something to us. Like we're letting the institution, because the phrase spawned out of a Facebook post that turned into a tweet. You know what I'm saying? After George Zimmerman was acquitted, right? So it was a message to say, hey, these lives matter. These people matter. We don't need to be told that. We was devastated. Like we're confused when police get off. I mean, at this point, we're like, well, like, yeah, it's the system. Like, so we get it now, but the only way it makes sense is you be like, it's racism. It's institutional, systemic racism. That's the only way that you can make it make sense. And so from that perspective, that's how we rationalize it. So when it comes to this particular message, this is a message outwards. Like liberals can grasp onto it, corporations can grasp onto it. All these people could be a part of that message because they're saying we agree with that. We agree with what these people are saying that Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? So it's about systematic, institutional issues. We already keep the peace, decrease the violence, keep the peace. You know what I'm saying? Like we have movements that happen in black communities and black neighborhoods that addresses how and we've been doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like you niggas ain't watched, you ain't see the end of Boys in the Hood. Y'all didn't see the message?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we've been pushing the message of like decrease the violence, increase the peace, put the guns down, love your brother, love your neighbor. And that's a different message than what Black Lives Matter is providing. So Black Lives Matter it fits within it because it's like, okay, this is Black lives, but the message is for the institutions, not necessarily directed to the communities.
So my response is twofold, as they usually are. To start on one side, I am conflicted. And it's because in a world of reality, I am often left. And I actually don't think it's two sides. I think it jives directly with what Dr. Dancy has said. Dr. Dancy says in the comments, as Bell Hooks said, who are you trying to convince? And when I think about that, and the statement Black Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter and who is directed toward, I tend to agree with Dominique, but I also am left slightly speechless when people do have, to me, a valid point. How do you tell people to value you when there is a lack or a misstep? For me, I think, like I said, proximity and social apparatuses and structures are always going to kind of predispose us to violence. But what happened to the code? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of crazy shit that I'm just like, man, there is no agreement amongst Black people for how a lot of this stuff got to play. Like the bottom line and the last straw, shout out to Young Legend in Kansas City. And also, I think it was a young Black girl riding her bike in Chicago, and she was struck by some stray bullets at her grandmother's house at a cookout when they came to shoot up the cookout or something like that. So we got these kids, Legend in Kansas City, the young lady in Chicago, this young child we're talking about in Atlanta. And back in the day, that used to be a no-go, used to be unacceptable, used to be, and if not, then it hardcore needed to be. What happened to no women, no kids? What happened to, you know what I'm saying? Like, just there's no esteem to give credibility to it, right? So I've been seeing a lot of different in terms of Black Lives Matter, like Black drug dealers matter, Black criminals matter, Black this matter, Black that matter, really attempting to bring to the forefront those who we have deemed the bottom rungs of our community but still have value, right? People who Black lives who fight back still matter, Black whatever. And I agree 1000%. But if I'm being real and keeping it a stack, I'm waiting, and this is where it becomes troubling because there is no single Black community leader that I think has the reputation and legitimacy to bring this together. But
I think it's impossible at this point.
Even on something, man, because I am left speechless. I don't have an answer for murdered Black children by other Black. I don't have an answer for a lot of the backdrops of violence that have been happening throughout all of these protests, the weeks of the protests. People still found time to commit violence against other Black people.
Right. It's like we stuck. Like they say it, and it's like y'all saying Black Lives Matter, but what about this? And it's like
And so it's a
level. You know what I'm saying?
It's a level of by community design, and then there's a level of like I can't explain that though.
Yeah.
Like I can explain that. I can't explain that. Sometimes the gratuity of a certain situation, sometimes the it's hard, man.
The tragedy. You can't explain the tragedy. Yeah, especially in this debate.
Yeah, too, because I really see it as, I agree with Damo. Black Lives Matter is said to the institution. But what we know, Damo, I'm gonna make another academic reference, man. What we know from reading that Ronald Judy, that nigga authenticity, is that niggas get lost in the sauce of governmentality and policing other bodies. So you are literally internal.
Small P policing.
You replicate the institution. You feel me? You replicate the system. You know what I'm saying? So we start having to literally see that it's levels to people that have internalized black inferiority, but they really don't think Black Lives Matter. They blacker than you and me. You know what I'm saying? In experience and in skin tone. You know what I'm saying? So in my mind, sometimes we have to think about, for me, it's like when Ayanna Dior got her ass whooped in Minnesota, you know what I'm saying? Or shit, when Toyin gets raped and beat up and, you know what I'm saying, killed and
murder, rest in peace.
Like shit, in my mind, it's like I don't think that those people that commit those crimes think that Black Lives Matter. Like there are people that we have to convince that look like us that Black Lives Matter. And that's when we have to think about the idea of black criminals, black trans, black thugs, black drug dealers, because you know how respectability politics work. Because what we know is that the system will make us only value people that the system will value. So George can speak. He got a few degrees. We should value that nigga. You know what I'm saying? But the brother on the street, they got all these great experiences that I don't have because I was in a white man institution, but he got the experiences of being on the street that he don't speak the way I speak. He got as many degrees as I have. It's people that will not see the value in that brother, or to see the value of that sister, or to see the value in that identical from a person because the institution don't see value in them. I recognize that some of the awe in me is that people see that the institution might be able to see some capacity in me. You feel me?
Yeah, hey, niggas don't sleep on them degrees, nigga. Niggas show up, he got 2 masters. You gotta listen. You feel me? Like, I mean, how do you? That's a flex.
Think of my debate partner Rashid. My debate partner Rashid used to always say, y'all know Rashid. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Sheedy Bo.
Feel me? Rashid used to always say, I'm not the smartest person from my hood. You feel me? And I feel like the first time he said that to me, you feel me, when he said it in debate, it's always, he said when I was like 19, I'm 29 now. But I always think about that. I'm from the west side of Bryan, Texas. I ain't the smartest person in my hood. I have things that can validate my intellect, though, that makes people think that I'm real intellectual because the system, the institution said, "Hey, get that nigga a degree."
But here's the flip side to that,
though. He ain't got no degrees.
Yeah,
like
he a genius.
Yeah, shit. I gave him a lot of game. He ain't got no degrees. That nigga went from.
I mean, shit. It wouldn't be no George Lee if it wasn't for George Lee. See all them fucking parties and flyers and shit. That came from the OG. You know what I'm saying? But look, this is the thing that in terms of understanding that though, right? Because I do think that you do have that criticism where you actually have to say to certain groups of black people that those Black Lives Matter too, right?
Yeah.
But it also works in reverse. Because I think that there is even with the criticism that I have of Black Lives Matter, I would never fix my lips to say I don't fuck with Black Lives Matter. Ever. Because cognitively, think about what you're saying. If you took that phrase and wrote it down and handed it to yourself 10 years ago, before Black Lives Matter was the brand Black Lives Matter, and you read that, you would think, what the fuck happened to me? If you just wrote down the phrase, I don't fuck with Black Lives Matter, and handed it to yourself 10 years ago, you would think something like, what did niggas do? You know what I'm saying? And so we say, even the religious niggas, the power of life and death is in the tongue, right? We are speaking things, saying we're putting together sentences that when you're able to remove the context and only focus on the words, which most people do, you're creating a dynamic mentally to where you're saying you don't fuck with Black lives. You don't fuck with them mattering.
Right.
Cognitively. You could say, well, nah, I don't fuck with the movement. You could say, nah, I don't fuck with the organization. But ultimately, when you say the phrase, that's why that phrase is what it is, Black Lives Matter. So regardless of your politics, regardless of the distinction that you make, that phrase you should always agree with. I may not agree with Black Lives Matter LA, but I think Black Lives Matter. So while we looking at niggas just like that's committed murders and saying, well, do they think Black Lives Matter? Nigga, you saying you don't fuck with Black Lives Matter? Do you think Black Lives Matter, nigga?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that, you just as culpable.
Right.
You gotta pay with that shit too. Shit.
There's some comments popping. Check in with the people.
We got that boy Iggy. He said BLM needs to be told to cis and straight niggas, Black LGBT needs to matter. And that was the last episode. All Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
All Black Lives Matter. Straight up.
Dr. Dancy, yes, we are all socialized to uphold white supremacy. So I wonder if Black Lives Matter can also serve as a project within community psychic restoration where we come to consciousness. And I think that like is an important, I think maybe, I don't know, not even a subversion, but an inversion. An inversion of this program. I had to think about where I was going. But
you saw that master's working in her head because she's like, I'm gonna get these words right because I know them.
To me, I'm a rhetorician, so I needed to be rhetorically apt.
Rhetorician. Ooh, I just learned something.
That's what I am by practice and by credential. I'm a rhetorician, and in that world. Right. I think it would be interesting for this movement because I think it's about time that it grows some maturity and some intracommunal legitimacy by really kind of doing some of that connective lead work, right? By really, really, really Black people. And I think it's happening. We're just not calling that Black people being connected to more resources. I don't know if y'all seen in y'all's different areas. I know I just saw in Orange County alternative to calling the police, right? That allows for us to start thinking differently about how we resolve a lot of the community issues that we have in the first place so that over-policing stops being a contribution to the crimes and the criminality in Black communities and stuff like that, or the reason why they are subjected to what they are. But all of this to say, I think Dr. Dancy is on point in saying that this is a good time to flip that script back inward and start to think about how we can legitimize a lot of that message for us to make it salient for us. Because sometimes, you know, when I think about these degrees that people find so important, I do forget, right? I've had a couple moments very recently where I recognize how blessed I was and a lot of struggles that I don't have to have and things that I don't have to think about at all or anymore. And just how, you know, how easy it is for the Kardashians of the world, for the Kanyes of the world, for these, what's seemingly these celebrities that seem like they missing some tone, they're not reading the room. It's because they so far removed. And so it has to be intentional moves by us to constantly think about all Black Lives Matter and practice that on a day-to-day basis in our communities. And I think that should be movement led. You know what I'm saying? I definitely can agree with that.
And then just real quick, these little two comments. Ig said, like saying Black Lives Matter is a life-giving phrase. And you know, Ig can't spell, but that's in an anti-Black world. I'm assuming that's in an anti-Black world.
Yes.
And
for a nigga,
hey, shout out to Ignacio Evans.
Back up off my book.
You feel me? Shout out to, you know what I mean, the future doctoral candidate. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the man, but his spelling is terrible. But in this instance, it was he only spelled is wrong, and it's all good.
In Southern California, you can come to your home and really.
I had to. Look. I'll say this, and then George, you know what I'm saying, you can do what you do. I like, and that's exactly. I'm agreeing with Iggy 100%. We do not need to give life to anti-Blackness. Even if it's just in the words that we speak, we do not need to give life to anti-Blackness. And having a issue with whether it's the language or using the politics of Black Lives Matter against Black people when you know there's intracommunal violence, you know, doing that, like we have to train ourselves to not give life into anti-Blackness. And that's bigger than challenging all of the bullshit niggas have problems with in terms of Black Lives Matter, because like that's actually what's going to be able to move us forward. When we can be like, I have a criticism, but I'm not going to get in the way because I understand what they're trying to do.
Jaleesa in the building. I know she's been in the mix for a minute. So what's up, sis? How you living? How you doing? Hope everything is well. It's great to have you in the mix. Terrell says we need critique and generative creativity in the same breath. And that's what I think we have to continue to be able to hold things in tension. That was a phrase that I learned in debate that I thought was really powerful because it allows for us to see the paradoxical nature of what we are, where we are, and what we're doing at any given moment. We have to be able to, we haven't said walk and chew gum at the same time in a long time, but we have to be able to do those things in order to navigate.
Because we ain't really had no political chop in a minute. We ain't had no real political chop.
Very
I've
true.
been burnt out.
It ain't no good news, man. Damn. But yeah, man, shout out to what's my man's name? Charles that lost in Georgia in Kentucky and couldn't unseat and the white woman took over the nomination to go against Mitch McConnell.
Oh, he did lose. I know who you talking about. But I don't know his last name.
It was a big deal. He was running to defeat Mitch McConnell to hopefully take
he was late in the race though. She had already had like a large part. Well, that's another conversation. We can talk about that.
Politics. At any rate, we got to be able to do both at the same time, which means investing and seeing, like, I go to work every day. I'm critical of capitalism. I'm critical of the university industrial complex. I'm critical of a lot of things, but there's still a lot of promise, a lot of value, a lot of beautiful things about these things that exist and my specific participation in them. And I recognize that, right? I've always called myself, I came up with a little hip, little trendy name for myself in relationship to, our Afro scholarship and Afro positionalities. I am an Afro structural realist. I'm a nigga who recognizes on a level of realism, the direct and targeted annihilation of Black people and everything about them and everything that they do. However, structurally, my understandings of structures and how they exist necessitate that I participate and be in them, right? So my goal is to be internally subversive. It is to be in, not of. It is to go in with the understandings of my positionality as a Black person, a Black body, a Black woman, a Black queer woman within these structures, but also to understand the agenda of white supremacy, which is the notions of realism that always have me highly skeptical of what white people are doing at any given time. So I'm the person trying to boost my niggas, trying to boost my brown students, trying to make sure I move some shit around, trying to be, like, I want to be that person, right?
Because you got to
walk with them at the same time, right? And so that is what I want to encourage niggas to do, is to engage in a little Afro structural realism. Ain't no book coming soon, ain't no larger theory being written. I just want you to understand that this is how we sticking and moving out here. You did.
Get the fuck out the way. Get the fuck out the way. If you not gonna help, get the fuck out the way.
Get out the way.
Get on board. What does it get on board? Get out the way or get ran over. I'm telling you, this train is moving, y'all.
Hey, on some Harriet Tubman type shit, niggas think I'm playing.
Shout out to who taught me that man's down in Kentucky. Birch, Daryl Birch. Definitely a quote from Birch. Get on board, get out the way, or get ran over. That's the only three options you have right now. Shout out to Birch.
Hey, so what you gonna say after that, George?
Hey,
what's that, man?
Hey, conclusion. I'm just in conclusion. All we saying is, in this conversation of intracommunal violence, we trying to lay to rest the rhetorical usage of Black on Black crime, because they should be used to weaponize Black death against Black people in ways that should not be. You feel me? My warrant for this claim is that you can go to various studies that'll show you that crime and violence is necessitated on proximity. If you live in the hood, you're more likely to commit crime against people in the hood. If you live in the suburbs, you're more likely to commit crimes against people in the suburbs. With that being said, we recognize that over 80% of white people that are killed in America are killed by other white people. We also recognize that 90% of Black people that are killed by other Black people. When it comes to intracommunal violence, it is cross-cultural. That means that shit is in all the hoods, all the neighborhoods.
On period.
On period.
You know what I'm saying? And you know what? On period. On God. On me, right?
On God.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo.
Hey.
That's on. You know what? Hey, and that's real, bro. That's real. Like, and niggas is y'all sleep. You feel me? The one name that we didn't throw out on George, though, Toya, he's David Ruffin.
Hey, according to Jadena, he's another classic man. You know what I'm saying? So we just
hey, George is David Ruffin of the chap up. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
right, we got 60 seconds, niggas, before we will have been on here for an hour and a half. How can we close this out in less than 60 seconds? What I got to say?
We should with the social media. Hey, if you ain't watching it on YouTube, make sure y'all follow the YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get those subscribe numbers up. If you ain't following the page on Facebook, which is where we're mostly active, please follow the page on Facebook. We're trying to get those numbers up. Also, if you ain't following the Instagram, at the Chop Up Show on Instagram, at the Chop Up Show on Instagram, follow us there too. We getting them numbers up too. And we've been working.
Shout out to Odie. Slid in on us. What's up, Odie Kirk? Man, it's good to hear.
Odie.
Building.
Hey, everybody that chimed in, that joined in the conversation, we thank y'all.
Definitely.
Hey, every time y'all show up, it's always love. You feel me? We're gonna be back. Oh, yeah. I took up all the time. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's the Chop Up. Y'all know what time it is, man. Hey, next time, tell a friend to tell a friend to meet us here. No, be us here. Don't meet us here.
Shout out to Stephanie. Shout out to Lachelle in the comments. All of y'all, big love. It's nothing but love to y'all. Like that love. Hit that like button. Love on it real quick. Drop a love. Drop a care. Share the episode. People can watch it in reverse, and we will.
Hey, Dr. Dancy last. Dr. Dancy. Hey,
you already know how it goes.
No, we laughing at you because I said 60 seconds and Dominique took 43 of them. On that note,
hey,
it's the Chop Up.
Y'all know what it is. This is the Chop Up.